The first recipient of an honorary degree this morning will be introduced by Fernando Munoz Dominguez. Fernando is an Ecuadorian lawyer who received his law degree from the Catholic University of Santiago de Guayaquil. While in law school, he was president of the Law Students Association and a teacher's assistant. He has professional experience in the legal, public, and private sectors, and today he graduates from GW Law with an LLM in International Environmental Law. Fernando.
President Granberg, it is a great honor to present to you the Honorable Vincent Condol Gray, Doctor of Science, honoris causa.
Vincent Condol Gray has been a remarkable and steadfast advocate for the residents of his hometown, Washington, D.C., for more than 50 years. His dedication to children and their families has long been a hallmark of his service in both city government and the nonprofit sector. While earning a degree in clinical psychology at the George Washington University, Mr. Gray broke racial barriers, becoming the first Black student admitted to the GW fraternity system. After graduating from the university, Mr. Gray began his career at the ARC of DC, a community-based nonprofit that promotes and protects the rights of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. At the ARC, he successfully advocated for innovative policy initiatives and led efforts to close a mental health institution after it was exposed for poor conditions and abusive residents. In 1991, Mr. Gray was appointed to serve as the director of the DC Department of Human Services. In that role, he oversaw public health, social services, mental health services, and healthcare finance for the city. 3 years later, he became the founding executive director of Covenant House Washington, an international faith-based organization dedicated to serving homeless and at-risk youth. Mr. Gray's commitment to his community and the residents of Ward 7 inspired his first successful campaign for elected office to the DC Council in 2004. As a council member, he chaired a special committee on the prevention of youth violence and created an institute to provide assistance to HIV/AIDS service providers. 2 years later, Mr. Gray was elected chairman of the council with an overwhelming 98% of the vote. His platform, One City, focused on uniting Washington's diverse racial and economic populations. As chairman, Mr. Gray championed efforts to reform DC public schools and to improve the council's operations, transparency, and oversight. To increase access to a high-quality early childhood education, he spearheaded the Pre-K Expansion and Enhancement Act, which provided 2,000 new classroom slots for 3 to 4-year-olds. In 2011, Mr. Gray became the 6th elected mayor of the District of Columbia. During his tenure, he prioritized restoring fiscal responsibility to city government, creating jobs and boosting economic development, providing a quality public education to all district children, and building safe communities. More than half a century after he began, Mr. Gray continues to give back to his hometown. In 2016, he was again elected to represent his home ward on the DC Council. As chair of its Committee on Health, he worked to make possible a new and much-needed state-of-the-art healthcare system, the Cedar Hill Regional Medical Center, GW Health, in Southeast DC. The George Washington University is extremely proud to count Mr. Gray as an alumnus and to laud his exceptional achievements in service to our nation's capital and its residents. Vincent Gray, in recognition of all the foregoing, and by virtue of the authority granted to me by the Congress of the United States, vested in the Board of Trustees of the George Washington University, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Public Service, honoris causa, and declare you fully entitled to all of its rights, honors, privileges, and responsibilities. I am now pleased to welcome Dr. Dawn Coombe to provide remarks on our honoree's behalf.
Thank you. Good morning. Congratulations, class of 2024. It is an honor and a great pleasure to welcome everyone on behalf of the man I proudly call my husband, but who you know as council member, council chair, mayor, and at George Washington University, a class of 1964, undergrad, and 1966 masters, Dr. Vincent Condol Gray. Vince graciously thanks GW student body, faculty, President Grantberg, and Board of Trustees for this honor. On myself, your children, Carlos, Johnny's, your friends, also would like to thank everyone. One of our favorite ways to relax is to sit together and talk, sometimes for hours, allowing our thoughts to wander about topics past, present, and future. One day we were discussing our regrets, and Vince said that his only regret was not getting a doctorate. I replied, it's never too late. And then the conversation moved on to something else. Maybe how many cars were coming down Branch Avenue. Well, to my surprise, the next day, Vince reached out to the then president of GW to inquire about enrolling into a doctorate program. And at once, he began making plans to fit academics into his already full workload, representing Ward 7 on the DC Council and chairing the Committee on Health. Sadly, COVID raised its ugly head, and like so many of us, his plans had to be put on hold. A year later, Vince was invited to bring the program virtually. That's where my support ended. Vince knows how to use a cell phone, but beyond that, his relationship with technology is rocky at best. Trust me, a year of legislative meetings on Zoom proved that Vincent C. Gray was not going to earn a doctorate degree as a virtual student. So we accepted that dream had to wait. And now, here we are today. In fact, graduates, you too are here today because you overcame challenges. I did my doctorate course and defended my dissertation pregnant and with a newborn baby almost 30 years ago. Many of us make sacrifices, overcome hardships and setbacks, and then we persevere. There are so many ways to earn a degree, but the key is it is earned. That takes hard work, sacrifice, and the willingness to risk setbacks, if not failure. No one finds success in a straight line. We take a few steps forward, round an unforeseen turn, maybe take a step backwards, but always keep our eyes on the prize and move forward. That got you here today, and that has brought Vince here today. Celebrate, you earned it. And in the days to come, if your journey sometimes seems too hard, or if you feel you can't do something, or maybe you just settle for doing something else, but remember this day and what you got here. You can achieve whatever you set your mind to. Never give up. I am so proud of my husband, Dr. Vincent Condol Gray. Now, there are 2 doctors in the house. George Washington University, thank you for making Vince's deferred dream a reality today.